Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people, the butts, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Twisted Tuesday has begun. We've got a full house. We've got a bunch of stuff to break down. We've got games going on. We've got games coming up as well. I've got my eye on the late-night college basketball card, and we've got a good man to join us to help us break it down. Big man on campus. Jeff Nadeau will step up and in and join us this evening. The Rage Red head Cam Stewart and Andrew McInnes will be up first, so we'll get after the NHL hockey, and we've got games going on right now. I'm watching the Vancouver Canucks and the Colorado Avalanche. Yesterday, the Vancouver Canucks gave up 10 goals. So far, they haven't given up a single goal. They have scored once. The Canucks are up 1-0 after 20 minutes of play in kind of a tough spot. They played Saturday night and lost to the Winnipeg Jets. They played well but lost. They blew a 5-2 lead yesterday somehow, and they got ambushed in the third period of play. And here they are going back-to-back playing against one of the best teams in the National Hockey League. As good as Vancouver have been this year, they've been great, right? They had the most points in the NHL. They haven't been great against elite teams. And, you know, most teams are like that. You know, you beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And you go 500 against, like, the elite teams type of deal. You win some, you lose some. Vancouver have lost most of the games that they played against elite opponents. Like, at some point, they're going to need to start to win these games. No excuses. Well, it was a tough spot or this and that. It's like, no, because they have, you know, the Boston spot was they were on the road for a week and a half or whatnot. Like, Boston got them, and they were bad against Boston. They lost to Colorado already once this year. They lost to the Jets on Saturday, right? Vancouver need to win this game to just sort of get some confidence against the elite teams and just move forward and get back on track. For the record, the Canucks, who have lost 2 games in a row, they haven't lost 3 games in a row all year. So we'll see what happens. They're up 1-0. The second period has just started in the Mile High City. As far as the updated numbers are concerned, the Vancouver Canucks are minus 165 favorites. The Avalanche are plus 135. The total is 5.5. The Canucks minus a puck and a half is plus 155. You can get the Colorado Avalanche plus a puck and a half right now at minus 190. The Winnipeg Jets are leading the Minnesota Wild. They're up 3-1 right now. They're minus 3,000, which is incredibly stupid high. Like, just for the principle, you should almost take the Minnesota Wild at 12-1, down 2 goals. And the Nashville Predators and the Vegas Golden Knights are getting ready to drop the puck. Shout out to everybody joining us on SiriusXM, channel 159. So the Preds and Vegas Golden Knights, the Knights are like minus 145 favorites. The total is 5.5. I don't like betting on Predator games. I don't like betting on Vegas Golden Knight games. It's too bad, too. Like, there's some teams that I just don't do well with. And I don't like it when those teams are like West Coast teams because they're on when we're on and stuff. And I don't like avoiding their games. But I don't know. Like, I don't think Vegas is some sort of stone cold lock tonight. And I'm not really rich enough to be betting on the Nashville Predators, to be honest with you. Not when I have my eye on a San Francisco Dawn St. Mary basketball game. But yes, I was thinking about this too. I saw that Des Bryant won a $416,000 parlay over the weekend. And good for Des. Des likes to bet on sports. And unlike, you know, some people, Des isn't doing it like to be an influencer or anything. The guy's just got time on his hands. And he's, you know, he's a sports fan. So he's betting on sports now. And he would have won $1 million parlay, actually. He had one for $1 million. He likes to swing for the fences, right? He played a parlay for like $915 or something like that. And it paid $1 million back in return. One of those, you know, you're never going to win. I think it was a 20-team banger. And he went like 19-1 or something. It was like the Washington Huskies cost him. I saw him tweeting about the Washington Huskies. I follow him on Twitter too. And it's funny because on Saturday, I was at the hockey game and I sort of looked on Twitter and I saw Des Bryant. He was like, damn, Washington. I was like, oh, I'll check in with what Des is crying about later. And then I saw, oh, my God, Des won a $416,000 parlay. But he won his parlay because Nevada beat UNLV on Saturday night. And UNLV were winning late. I had UNLV. UNLV's another one. you figure I live there too. Like, you figure I would, like, I used to be good at UNLV games. I really was. Like, I'd know, take them, bet against them. I was pretty good with UNLV games. I'm not now. Like, I never win UNLV basketball games. I don't win Vegas Golden Knight games. And I don't like the Nashville Predators. So I got no personal beef against the Predators, but I just don't like betting on their games. So that's a tough one. We'll get into the Kings game. The Avalanche just scored. So the Avalanche just scored. Johansson. They're actually 9-0 when he scores a goal. So there's a little counter argument with the Vancouver Canucks. 1-1. And I had over 1.5 in the first period of play. I would have preferred if they just would have tied the game before the end of the first period instead of tying it early in the second. But that's hockey betting. College basketball. Creighton are absolutely throttling UConn right now. UConn were 3-point favorites this morning. The number did go down 0.5 point. It closed at 2.5. This is a common trend that we've seen this year in college basketball, where the higher-ranked team goes on the road, they're favorites, and they lose, right? And even if they're underdogs, they lose. You see that in college football all the time. The higher-ranked team, like, getting points and stuff, the public falls for the trap. Oh, my God, how can I not take points from this team? And then inevitably they lose. So now it's UConn's turn tonight. UConn were 2.5-point favorites. UConn will not be winning this basketball game. They're not going to come back. It's 64-43 right now. But I don't want to mush it for anybody. I don't have a side on this game. I was going to take Creighton, but I didn't. I took the over 143 earlier in the day. It actually went up all the way up to 145, I saw. And then I did pull the trigger at the half at 146.5 as well. I thought the number was a little light. So it's 64-43 right now. The in-game total is 153.5. There's a lot of basketball left. There's 12 minutes left. And one thing, like when you bet these in-game totals and stuff, one thing, even though it's a rout, UConn are not the type of team that'll tap out. Right? Like, UConn's not going to say, wow, this is in our night and stuff. Like, they're so uber competitive. It's going to bother them. They're going to be on the bench saying, listen, we're not losing this game by 20. If we lose this game, let's go on a run and see what happens here down the stretch. So it should help our total. It's up to 156.5 right now. BYU and Baylor, they're at the break. It's 42-37 for the Cougars over the Bears right now. This game I missed out on because I saw it earlier in game, and I saw that Baylor were hitting all their shots early. And I was like, yeah, this isn't going to continue. And BYU were hanging around. I was like, the law of averages, I think BYU's the play. I didn't get in on it on time. And then BYU were suddenly favored by 4.5. I didn't do it. They're 7.5-point favorites right now. But we'll get into the NHL, college basketball, NFL draft, and more. This is Sports Rage.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Johnny's a 19-point lead late in the opening half, only to squander that lead. Hall ball under Shaheen Holloway coming all the way back.
All these guards start jacking up shots, and then Soriano doesn't get the ball. Hey, Rick, how about stop throwing your kids under the bus and get your big man the ball, your best player, play inside out like you were doing earlier in the game, and you probably would have won.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where these Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in the 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
SportsRage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The Pips, the players, the hustlers, the people to bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. It's the Twisted Tuesday. Shout out to Ryan tuning in on Twitter right now. I don't know where he's tuning in on, but he sent me a tweet. He goes, always appreciate listening to SportsRage. Some always force plays for content. He goes, I like what you just said about not betting those teams. I don't know who's going to win that game. And that's the one thing. If I give a play, I'll play it, but I don't play every game of every league every night. And as I stated, the Nashville Predators are a hockey team that I don't have like some sort of great track record with. And I hate to say it because they play a lot when we're on the air in the late night hours, but the Vegas Golden Knights, if I bet on them, they lose. If I bet against them, they win the Stanley Cup. So, like, they're one of these teams where I'm like, I don't win a lot when I play their games. And Dave Malinsky, the late, great Dave Malinsky, may rest in peace. A great guy, but also one of the smartest people I knew and smartest handicappers. There's Nikolai Jokic at the Colorado Avalanche Vancouver Canuck game. But he told me, he goes, you know what the big mistake people make is they think they know everything. And he basically said, he goes, it's impossible to know everything about every college football team. But he goes, people will pretend they do. And he goes, it's impossible. He goes, there's 128 teams, and there's 90 kids to 100 kids on each team. He goes, how are you possibly going to know the inner workings of 130 teams? He goes, focus on the conference or the teams that you know well and stick with it. And don't, dance with things that you don't know so well. And these leagues are big leagues, man. You got 32 teams, 30 teams in these pro leagues and stuff. You're not going to be great with all of them, except which ones that you do know and hammer the hell out of it, and accept which ones, you know what? I don't win when I bet on that team, or I'm wrong with that team. I don't have a good feel for that team. And everybody's going to have a different list. For me, I'll go over some of them, but Vegas, and like I said, the two Vegas teams, UNLV, man. If I bet on UNLV basketball to win the game, they'll lose by 12 as 12-point favorites. When I was in Vegas Super Bowl weekend, I thought Wyoming would cover. UNLV won by 14, laying 10. You know what I mean? It's I don't know. I don't know which damn UNLV team. I took them on Saturday night. Oh, they've won 5 in a row now. They're playing their best basketball. Yeah, they blew an 8-point lead. I lose. Des Bryant wins $416,000. It's a cold world. What's up, Cam Stewart? How you doing?
Good, Gabe. Yeah, you're right. These games are pretty tough. Sherapan told me something like weird stories. Like, oh, Nashville was going to go to the Sphere to see you too, but apparently they suck. So their coach is like, you can't go to the concert. And now you're going to stay in your rooms. I'm like, I don't know. Okay, it sounds kind of interesting. But anyway, yeah, I like Nashville against Vegas
who
tonight.
Sucks? Because Nashville sucks or because U2 sucks?
I don't know.
Which
Either
one?
Or. Yeah, I'll take both. But anyway,
you can't go because the show's so bad, or you can't go. No. You're saying that the Nashville coach found out that the team was like, hey, we're going to go see U2. And he's like, no, you're not. Like, we're not even playing well.
Nashville just scored. I'm on Nashville. So Nashville tonight, Gabe. And I'm betting the Vancouver Canucks live. We already took them at the start of the game. We'll take them as dogs. So you took
Nashville to beat Vegas?
Yes, I did. Not because of Dave's story about not seeing U2. I just think they're going to show up tonight. And I don't really, for my team in the NHL, I will be honest with you, it's the St. Louis Blues. They're the team that I have the most problems with. Out of any team in the league, I don't know, when they're zagging, I'm zigging, like I have no idea what the Blues are going to do. Ever. The
Blues.
Ever. Yeah, Blues.
Yeah, I don't bet a lot of Blues games. I've said it before. I don't like that division. I don't like the Wild. I don't like the Blues. I don't like the Predators. I don't like any of those teams. I don't mind the Dallas Stars. No, I got nothing against them. I'm not like a hater, like, I hate the Blues. I hate the Preds. I don't like betting on that division. Let's bring Andrew McKinnis in. McKinnis, who's your arch nemesis team on the list? You're like, you know what? If I bet on them to win, they lose. If I bet on them to lose, they win. Who's the team for you in the NHL?
I feel like it changes every year, guys, but this year, the Red Wings for me. I don't know what it is. I mean, one game they'll put up 5 or 6. The next night, they're the most embarrassing team in the league. The Red Wings are definitely my team.
I'll tell you what, I'm with you with the Red Wings. I have lost, like, more than I've won betting against the Red Wings earlier in the year. Then I surrendered, and I'm like, you know what? The Red Wings are actually pretty good.
They are.
And whenever they lose, somehow I'm on them. And then they go on these win streaks after. Right? They lost a home game to the Flyers like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever. They're winning up to it. They lost to the Flyers. I'm on them. Then they started winning, and they went on the road. Look, just this past weekend, like this past week, bro, McKinnis, the Red Wings had a pretty nice run in Western Canada. I know they lost to the Canucks, but they beat the Flames. They came back. They got the point. They beat they beat the Kraken as well on the way out on Monday. So the Red Wings are right in the picture, actually. They're not a bad team, that team, but I know what you mean. I don't like betting on them.
I find sometimes low-scoring teams are hard to read. Like the Winnipeg Jets, I've gotten better with this year. This year, they've obviously been a better team. But Cam mentioned Nashville. Talking about the Nashville game right now. I'm actually on them with him right now. But teams that are notorious for low-scoring games, teams that rely on their goaltender a lot, are hard to read because, you know, once they give up 3 or 4 goals, they're kind of out of it. You know what I mean? It's hard to get a read. Teams like Colorado, Vancouver, you know, you've got teams like the Maple Leafs that are kind of like never out of it because they can score, are a little bit, you know, better to rely on. But I find some of those teams that are so low-scoring that rely on defense and goaltending, they can really burn you if they give a few goals up early.
One thing I don't understand, too, about bettors, you'll hear people say, not everybody, but Kurtz is a good example, actually. We'll use Kurtz as good. Yeah, it's too bad we couldn't get a picture up of Kurtz, like example, and have a picture up of him. If you guys could do that for me quickly somehow, just picture of Kurtz. But, like, no, Kurtz is a good example. I don't think he even bets. He'll play props and stuff on the Cowboys, but you hear him, Cam. Oh, I don't bet on Yankee games because I'm a fan. Yeah. Or I don't really bet on the Islanders because I'm a fan, or the Cowboys because I'm a fan. I don't understand that at all because you would know your team the most. Like if you're a hardcore fan, like George Kurtz is a hardcore Yankee fan. So Kurtz really does know like the inner workings. Like Kurtz, there's casual fans, but Kurtz will know, oh, yeah, one of the guys in the bullpen's got a sore arm today because I know I listened to the pregame show. Or, like, he's soaking all the content up all the time. He knows everything about it. You know what I mean, McKinnis? It's almost a waste not to bet. But you just have to separate the betting and the fandom and realize we're not going to win this game. And/or just don't bet it. You know, bet on them. And, you know, if you think they're going to win, but I know, man, like I know the Buffalo Bills inside out, and I do well with Bill games because I do know them. Like I do know Michigan, right? I'll be like, no, it's too many points. They don't care this week because I follow their practices during the week. I know what the vibe is of the team. And like this goes back to what I said. I don't know the vibe of every team. It's impossible to. It's like that was a good story about Nashville and the coach and stuff like that. But there's a million of these stories every night that we don't know.
I didn't bet him because of the U2 story. But another thing about Kurtz too, he'll actually say, "Oh, it's okay." Like he'll bet against his team sometimes.
Yeah, I don't understand that one at all. That one just enraged me. That would make me happy.
I don't do. I don't
like. You hear that one?
You know what I mean?
Well, I bet against my team, so I'll make money or I'm happy.
No,
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'd just be pissed that I lost money and my team won.
See, that's insane to me. Like, no, I'm not happy that they lost. It sucks. How about we bet on them? We win money and we get happy. Like, I don't understand at least we get something. I don't get that.
Or you take the other route where you just goddamn admit it that you're going to bet on your team every game and you just live with the consequences. It's like, I'm not thinking about it. I'm not, you know what I mean? A good example, listen, the Raptors were a great bet for me over the years. I made a lot of money on the Toronto Raptors. I don't even watch their games this year. I haven't watched a Raptor game in a month, I don't think. Like, it's too painful to watch. They're bad. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to bet on them. I don't want to bet against them and start getting into this, are they going to cover or not every night? Because sometimes they cover. Just wake me up in 3-4 years when they're good again.
Yeah,
I'll start going to games again.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Johnny's a 19-point lead late in the opening half, only to squander that lead. Hall ball under Shaheen Holloway coming all the way back.
All these guards start jacking up shots, and then Cioriano doesn't get the ball. Hey, Rick, how about stop throwing your kids under the bus and get your big man the ball, your best player, play inside out like you were doing earlier in the game, and you probably would have won.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where these Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
SportsRage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage Late
This sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, checking in with the college basketball scores right now. UConn are chipping away. They're still down, though. It's 69-56 right now. Creighton are laying 11.5 points. There's 6.5 minutes left. For you over-bettors such as myself, the in-game total right now is 152.5. I've got over 143, and I've got an over 146.5 in this game. So far, so good. We'll see what happens down the stretch. BYU and Baylor, in-game total 156.5. There's 13 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. They're moving in on 100 right now. They're at 99 points. It's 52-47 for BYU. And I said earlier, Baylor were up, and I saw the BYU were like plus 1.5. And Baylor were hitting all their shots. And I thought, you know what, it'd be a good time to get in on BYU. And I don't know what happened. I sort of hit refresh and stuff. And next thing I knew, the odds makers read my mind. And they were like, no, we're making BYU a 4.5-point favorite on you now. So now they're 5.5-point favorites. But I would almost say now it's time to buy back in with Baylor. Because this game, it feels like it's going to come down to the wire here. And Baylor are a good team. As far as the foul situation is concerned, for our in-game, if you want to jump in on the in-game total, let's not do it yet. There's no fouls. BYU haven't committed a single foul in the second half, and Baylor only 2 fouls right now. So NHL hockey, 5-1 for the Winnipeg Jets right now with 8.5 minutes left. 1-1 in the Mile High City with the Canucks and Avs still. And there's 6 minutes left in the second period of play. This game is slowed down. I think Vancouver just committed a penalty.
Or the penalty? Damn it.
No, I'm watching. There's no goal. No, there's a penalty. I don't know what the hell that penalty is for. Like, that Buddy was pinning he's pinning the puck against the boards. Like, what did you, yeah. Do you see it, McInnes? No, you don't have it in front of you?
Let's see.
JT Miller, whatever. He did just sort of face rake the guy, but.
You know,
I wouldn't have called it.
Yeah. From game to game, right?
He sort of shoved the guy in the net cam behind the net. Like, he did.
Yeah.
Like, the Canucks do a lot of stupid things like that. It's like, dude, like, there's no need for that. Like, you know what I mean? You could argue, wow, you didn't have to call it. It wasn't, like, totally egregious, but you did. Like, you did. You took your glove, and you did. Like, you hit the guy in the face and the throat with it. And you did it deliberately. So, you know what I mean? I'm on Vancouver. It happens every night, though, where it's like, guys, they're going to call that. Like, you do, like, they're not victims, the Canucks, with the refs. Like, Canuck fans were complaining a lot yesterday after the game. Oh, it was 5-on-3 all game. Then stop taking dumb penalties all the time. I'm telling you, the Canucks, that's their bad habit. They're 2 bad habits. They take bad penalties. They do stupid things where, like, you don't have to slash the guy, but you did, right? You didn't have to hit him in the face, but you did. They do that a lot. And the other thing is they get outshot all the time, and they get saved by scoring on, like, limited shots on goal, which eventually is going to catch up to them. And it sort of did against Hellebuck the other night, I noticed, against a really good goalie. He's stopping shots that they score on often. So Colorado on the power play right now. Cam, you said you're on the Canucks. McInnes, are you on the Canucks here as well, or the Avalanche?
We're head to head. I'm on the Avalanche money line, and I have the Avalanche to get to 4 goals. So those are the 2 ones that I have here in this one.
Well, I hope you lose. You're like a closet Av fan. You're a Habs fan, but you're a closet Avs fan, it seems, McInnes.
I thought Vancouver's in a good spot
McKinnon
tonight after these losses, right, Gabe? Like, they're going to bring an effort here tonight. It's a tight game. You're going into Colorado. It's a tough building to play, but I think Vancouver will bring their best tonight, and we're getting them as a dog right now. So, yes, Vancouver.
What do you guys think about road splits? I didn't used to care about it. I thought it was dead in the NHL, but I'm telling you what, guys, I have noticed big time lately, some teams more than others, the way they perform on the road versus at home, like the Devils, for example. You guys want to be backing them on the road. You're going to get better prices. They play almost just as well. This Avalanche team, the way they play on the road compared to at home, it's like a whole different team is out there wearing those uniforms. You know, you've got a team that's 25-0 at home. I mean, maybe it's the altitude. I don't know what it is, but this team is just better at home. And one thing I've been trying to change about my handicap, because, you know, I've kind of reassessing some of the bad spots I've had during the season, And I got to stop betting on bounce back spots. I did today with Winnipeg and their team total, but overall, a lot of my handicapping style is this team has a tough loss. They're going to bounce back. They're going to bounce back. But for me, when I look at a team going to bounce back, Vancouver, is Colorado the team to bounce back against? You know what I mean? I just feel like it's really tough after you give up that many goals back-to-back. Second half of the back is against Colorado. I just wanted to take the home team.
I don't have a good feeling about this either right now. To be honest, Vancouver take penalties. Eventually it's going to catch up to them. They're being outshot 20-14 right now. And not just the shots on goal. Like, if it wasn't for Demko, they'd be down like 3-1 right now. Like, they give up like big scoring chances. Demko's just amazing and saves them a lot. Sort of reminiscent of the Canadians, actually, with Patrick Waugh or something. Like, it's like, don't worry, Demko will stop it, and he does. But it's going to catch up to them a little bit. But I'm just a little bit worried. But I don't know. Maybe it goes the other way because I'll tell you, Kim, Colorado were dominating this period. So maybe that means that Vancouver will be the ones to score a lucky goal along the way. But as it is right now, watching this game, this is definitely advantage Colorado.
Yeah, it's to McInnes's point. I think sometimes you could look at spots, and Vancouver's had a really good year. And I just think after losing the way they did against Minnesota, I think it is a play. That's why I took them tonight as a dog. But doing it against Colorado is very, very difficult. We got a game coming up too, guys. I don't know how you guys feel about the Kings and the Jackets. The Kings have been pretty good recently. I saw that nice comeback win against Boston over the weekend. It was actually one of the best games I watched all year, Gabe. It was fantastic. The Kings scored late, and then their rookie Clark scored. He came right out of the penalty box and scored on a breakaway. It was a beautiful hockey game. I think tonight, the Kings are going to beat down Columbus, so I'm going to take the Kings -1.5 tonight. I know they haven't been great on home ice, but this is the time for turn their season around. I think they'll do it tonight. I'm on the Kings -1.5, +105.
McInnes, are you going to bet this game?
I'm locked in. This is kind of a play. I just, smaller bet that I locked in before I came on the show with you guys. I'm on the team total under for the Blue Jackets, under 2.5 at -130. I'm with Cam on the Kings. Who knows? I kind of lean towards the under going into the game, and I said to myself, you know what? The Kings could end up smacking them around. I'll focus on one team only as far as the under is concerned. Since January 1st, since 2024 came upon us, this is a team that's bottom 3 in expected goals for. Also, actually, bottom 3 as far as goals for. So this team is doing nothing right now, this Blue Jackets team. I think the Kings get the job done. I think they have their way with them. But I'll take their team total under 2.5. And real quick, Gabe, you're exactly right about the Canucks. They are top of the league, number 1 in the league as far as shooting percentage. And that's gone on all season long. And Demko has been top 3 all season long as far as goals saved above expected. And those analytical stats have not changed all year. So it's been sustainable, but there's still a lot of season left. You can't just sustain that shooting percentage.
You're going to play better goalies, McInnes, in the playoffs.
Game. Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
You're going to get locked in against one guy for 7 games in a row, like an Aiden Hill or something, right? And it'd be like, oh, man. Or like any one of them, right? You're going to get some goalie. Let's say they play the Jets. You're going to have to beat Hellebuck, right? So that is. I would like to see them get more shots on goal, just sort of flick the puck at the net a little bit more. They still look for that perfect, goal often, but, we're nitpicking a little bit. We're just sort of, in the big picture. Hughes nearly just scored. He was buzzing around the net. There's like a minute and a half left here. All right, you guys, I'll tell you what. I don't have the courage to take Columbus, but I don't trust the LA Kings. They haven't shown me enough to prove that, especially on home ice. If there's a team that's been like a killer and burnt money on home ice as a favorite, it's the LA Kings. I know that they've turned it around a bit here, and they're on a roll right now, but it was on the road. So now they're back home. I know they beat the Oilers. Now they're back home. And if you look at Columbus, guys, coming off the 4-3 win, they lost to Ottawa, they lost to Tampa, but they beat the St. Louis Blues. So they're 2-2 in their last 4 games. And if you look at the history between these teams as well, they've been close games. They played earlier this year, 4-3. The Kings won 4-3, 4-1. Jackets won 6-5. Kings won 2-1. Kings won 4-3 in overtime. It's quite a few close games there. Like I said, I wish you guys the best, but I'm going to pass on this one.
I wish you guys the best. Thank you. Go Kings. You're right. If you look at the I can understand the point, McInnes. Like we're hoping they turn a corner, Gabe, but you bring a lot of data to
They're
the table.
big favorites, minus 240.
They've been very
bro.
disappointing for a long time, but they're starting to play like the Kings. But you're right. On home ice, this is the test tonight. If you can't beat down the Jackets and win by 2 or more goals, then we still have problems. This is kind of a measuring stick game for the Kings, especially after a successful road trip where they started to put it together. So we'll see. We'll see if they're a different hockey club. They look better now.
The Vegas Golden Knights have tied the game with Nashville 1-1 with 4:56 left in the first period of play. Total is now 6.5 in that game. So we got 2 1-1 scores, including Vancouver and Colorado. Vancouver and Colorado, the second period has just come to an end. Right now, we're going to be going into the third period of play. The Colorado Avalanche minus 140, Canucks plus 110. In-game total sits at 4.5 right now in this game. In-game total on the strip right now in Sin City, over under 6.5 right now. That intrigues me a little bit. And under's plus money. Yeah, under's plus 110. Like if we can get through this period over to 4.5, you like? In Vancouver?
Yeah, 2-2 gets us.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Johnny's a 19-point lead late in the opening half, only to squander that lead. Hall ball under Shaheen Holloway coming all the way back.
All these guards start jacking up shots, and then Cioriano doesn't get the ball. Hey, Rick, how about stop throwing your kids under the bus and get your big man the ball, your best player, play inside out like you were doing earlier in the game, and you probably would have won.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where these Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
SportsRage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. All right, so we just hit the over of the Creighton game, and we hit our second half over as well. So it's nice to go 2-0 in this game. Get back on track here tonight. 81-66 is the score right now for Creighton. So we're at $1:47. There's a minute and 50 seconds remaining in the game. Creighton are up by 15. We got a close one going on here in Provo. It's 59-54 right now. And we can get 6.5 points with Baylor, guys. I'm going to click it. So I'm going to take 6.5 with Baylor and hope that they can keep this game close down the stretch. In-game total is 149.5. Just went to 151.5. We're going to jump in on the over. So we're taking we got Baylor plus 6.5. Unfortunately, they're 7.5 right now. You can get it. I got it 6.5, and I just got over 151.5. We'll get back to the St. Mary's and the San Francisco game. This game tips off in about 20 minutes time. So NHL hockey, it's a goal-a-palooza once again in the Minnesota game, guys. The Jets are now up 6-3 on the Minnesota Wild with a minute and a half left. We played 2 periods of play. So, McInnes, as we were going into the break, you said that you think that the 4.5 is worth a look to the over here in Denver. 1-1 after 40 minutes of play. Totals 4.5, minus 145 to the over, plus 115 to the under. Canucks are plus 110 right now. You like the over 4.5?
I can certainly tip my cap to the Vancouver Canucks coming out playing a defensive style of hockey after what happened yesterday. Sometimes it is a good thing, guys, to not have to wait to get back on track, right? The back-to-back isn't always a bad thing. You have that bad taste in your mouth. The coach gives you a few words. You go out there and execute, right? Not a few days later, the next night. But this number, I mean, it's gotten too low here, guys. You can give me minus 130 over 4.5. Cam said it himself. 2-2 gets you there here. We still have a bunch of talent between these forward groups, both Colorado and Vancouver. I don't even ever do these, but if we could play goal in the first 10 minutes of the period, I probably would bet that myself. This, to me, is one of those feelings where this is going to start with a bang. I can see these teams opening up, and as well, it seems like it's kind of a physical game. And both these clubs, you mentioned it, Gabe, about Vancouver. I find that they're not very good at being physical without taking penalties. Vegas last year was unbelievable at it. They were so good at being rough without taking penalties. Both these teams, I've actually read articles that Vancouver might look for a tough guy, man. Vancouver needs a tough guy.
Yeah, the league just didn't call it.
Vegas got away with murder in the playoffs last year. It happens. But
wow, I don't know.
I do agree, though. The Canucks do need, if there's one thing they need to add, it would be just a little bit of size and grit. You know, they're much tougher than they were. Zadorov is a super tough dude. Like, they've got some big dudes and stuff, but they could use a little bit of that salt and pepper shakers here in the corners a little bit. Get the elbows up when it's going to be playoff. We saw that on Saturday against the Jets. I thought that was a really good example of what the playoffs are going to be like. And the Canucks were good, but they lost the game. Right, this is another playoff style game here tonight. So you can't just be good and lose the game. They got to nail this down. They haven't lost 3 games in a row all year. As far as team scoring in the first 10 minutes here, you can do it, but it's so pricey. Will there be a goal in the first 9:59 of the period? Is minus 230 to the yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. Plus 165 to the no. So I'm looking, can you get more specific with like 5 minutes here? No. But you can get into which team will score. Vancouver to score in the first 9:59 of the period is plus 140. Colorado is plus 110.
I like Vancouver to score the next goal.
But will it be in the next 9:59?
I don't know, Gabe. That's a tough question.
That's what the bet is.
I don't like that.
Cam,
you can bet who will score next, but that's a different bet.
Yeah, I like that. I like who will score next. So you're gonna be 9:59. Knowing our luck, it'll be like 10:02 or like how many times have we done that? Or like 3 seconds off or something. It's just a nightmare. No, I'm gonna pass on that one. Yes, McInnes, you had a question?
You mentioned the third. All we need is 2 goals here. Draw. After the third period results, 1-1 plus 440. 1-0 Colorado third period would be plus 910. 2-1 Colorado. 2-0 Colorado's plus 885. As far as the Vancouver, you can get plus 400 on them to win the third period 2-0. I'm just saying I want this over There's some good plus prices out there.
2-2
That's
regulation.
tricky. So what happens if it goes to overtime? You lose your bet then, right?
No, that's the third period score. So this is a third
Okay,
period.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So. 2-2. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. There's always the fine print with all this. It's plus 180 to go to overtime right now.
Yeah, that seems to be.
That's actually a good price.
That's clear cut.
Mm-hmm.
That would actually really wouldn't surprise me. The plus 180 that this goes to overtime this game, because it could go 1-1. It can go 1-1 or it could go 2-2. Right? It could. There's different ways it could happen. I would seriously doubt, like you talking about the no goals and stuff. There's going to be goals. Vancouver take penalties all the time. So Colorado's probably going to be on the power play a couple of times in this last period. And who knows, maybe Vancouver can bury one. But Vancouver have done this a lot. They really are good, Vancouver, at scoring the first goal of the game. Right? They often start off hot. Look, yesterday we saw them. Like, they start off hot often, and they sort of, as the game goes on, they have a hard time scoring. I've got my concerns about this game. We're going to hope for the best. I think anything can happen, though, going into the third period here. So now with football done, McInnes, and you're such a hockey bettor, what else are you going to bet? Do you bet NBA much, or are you going to college basketball? What else is part of your portfolio now?
Yeah, I've been betting NBA a little bit. I'll definitely be diving into it a lot more. I feel like everybody and their mother bets player props these days, So you got to try to stay away from that. It's the most popular thing in the world these days. So I feel like that's kind of a saturated market now, not as niche. I'm going to be getting into
taking pot shots at people who play props. Sounds like there was a hint of sarcasm in your voice.
I like McInnes.
Well, everybody's playing props now. It sounds like there's a little bit of a sarcasm.
No, I love player props too. I love player props too. I'm going to be, my new thing, guys, and I'll stick with it. It started off last year with the end of baseball season, which I'm preparing for right now, is team totals. Just worrying about one team and one team only. I feel like there's so many times in the NBA where I look at a point spread, I look at it all day, I break down the matchup, and I'm just like, man, this team didn't cover the spread, but they flew over their team total by like 15 points. So I need to figure out who's going to have a great night, who's going to have a bad night, and just look at those team totals. So, I like looking at the NBA post All-Star break anyway. I feel like you start to realize who cares, but you have the rosters finalized a lot more. So I'm looking forward to that, Gabe. But I'm also prepping for the MLB. Looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, we'll get back to MLB in a second. I'll see if there's a team or two you're looking at. But here's the updated. Listen, I've been talking about this, and when I was younger, I didn't play a lot of futures. As far as I would play sometimes team to win a Super Bowl or something, but you know what I mean? But I wasn't big on win total bets because I was just an impatient son of a bitch. Point blank. I was like, I don't want to wait 6 months for a minus 110 bet. And as I got older, I realized, you know what? I'm still here 6 months later, and I'd rather win the bet. And as you stated, it takes a lot of the element out, like in football and stuff, right? When you got a big bet on a team, a college football team, to go over their win total, suddenly you don't care whether they cover the 48 points that week. You don't have to sweat it out all the time. It doesn't matter, right? Like I had Michigan. It's like, I don't care if they win 10-9 or they win 30-0. It doesn't matter, right? They got to win the championship, right? Or they got to win this many games. They got to win the Big Ten. And it is a good way. And a lot of people, bettors are impatient people to begin with. And I get it. A lot of people don't have the bankroll to say, I don't have the money to wait and stuff. But if you looked in the big picture of things, if you went to a Wall Street hedge fund, if you went to a bank and you said, listen, can you guarantee me that you're going to double my money in 6 months? They would say, no, no, we can't do that. No, definitely. No, we can't at all. Right. But with these futures and the odds makers too, guys, they set these numbers pretty manageable because they know they're going to have your money for 6 months. So it's almost like a win-win for everybody. It's like you get a good number, you get a good bet. The odds maker and the sports book doesn't mind because they have your money for 6 months and they're going to make money on the interest off all the bets and the money that they take in their bank account anyways. And everybody wins. And then after, the sports book doesn't mind giving you the bad number because they have your money. And then boom, you're going to get paid and then keep on betting with them. And when you get paid from that future. So they really do. The best time to bet, people say, I don't bet NFL futures now. It's 355 days away. Now's the best time to do it. Because now we're one of the odds. They're like, listen, we're going to give these people good odds now because they're going to have to wait 10 months to get paid on this. So one of the reasons why I do like college football future betting, it's only 12 games in the regular season. It goes by fast. It's literally 3 months, so, unlike some of the other leagues that are kind of long. But
Bank will never double your money, Gabe. They'll take your money. Bank doubling your money? Are you kidding me?
No.
They'd be out of business. All they do is take money.
But people, bettors look at it like, oh, I don't want to wait 4 months or 6 months to win a minus 110 bet. Yet, if you were investing in stocks and you invested, or if you invested in crypto and the money doubled in 6 months, you'd be like, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
So people have different perceptions of this type of stuff. And I got to tell you, like McKinnis, I've really gone to it. Like I put like $5,000 on the Raptors to win more than their games last year. The Dodgers, I couldn't get enough money in on it. I was like just kept on depositing. But as far as the futures this year here in the NHL right now, and we're coming down the stretch, the Florida Panthers are now minus 140 to win the division, McKinnis, in the Atlantic. They surpassed the Bruins here. Last week, the Bruins were favorites. It's flipped. Who do you think wins this division, Florida or Boston?
I'll tell you what, I've seen as high as 175, 180, Gabe. So
what,
that's
with
a price
Florida?
I'd lock in.
So 140 is a good price, you're saying, with the Panthers.
Great price. Look,
Boston seem to be struggling a bit. All their games go to overtime now and are close. And, they're not invincible, this team now.
You were asking earlier about teams that are tough to get a read on. I'd say sometimes the Bruins can be that team because they're always big favorites, right? So you talk about a team to get a read on, but also a team to make money and win on. That can be the Bruins right now as well. I'm going to go ahead and say the chalk. I think the Panthers right now, guys, with the way that they play, they're just so hard to play against. They play a playoff style of hockey right now in February. We're talking February 20th, and they're out there playing every day like it's the second round of the playoffs. It's very, very impressive. However, I got to tip my hat to Cam's Leafs. They're playing very well. They got a spark lit after that Riley suspension. 4 straight wins after he went out. 14-1 odds. I don't think they're coming back in that division, but I will say that they're playing some good hockey right now.
Gabe, as
Who
for the
have they
Bruins,
beaten? Who have they beaten the Leafs in the last week?
They're playing better, but McKinnis is being very kind, actually. But as for Boston, when their goaltending's not good, I watch this team. They're not deep enough. Florida's a much better hockey team than Boston. And Boston, when their goalies are average, they can be beaten by a lot of teams. I don't think they're as good as people think they are.
Good point, Cam.
Thing with the Leafs, like I said, I don't say it sarcastic, but who do they beat, honestly? Who did they play?
The Blues.
They played the Blues? Who did they play before that? When he scored 3 goals. He scored a hat trick or whatever. Who was that against?
Oh, yeah, we beat the Ducks 9-2.
Flyers,
the Ducks.
Blues.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're playing better.
No, they were. I watched one of the games when he did that. They were lighting it up. And, he scores again, and Nylander scores. I'm like, that's what you guys do. You're front runners. You're beating up on a bad team, and you look good. Good for you.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game can take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Johnny's a 19-point lead late in the opening half, only to squander that lead. Hall ball under Shaheen Holloway, coming all the way back.
All these guards start jacking up shots, and then Cioriano doesn't get the ball. Hey, Rick, how about stop throwing your kids under the bus and get your big man the ball, your best player, play inside out like you were doing earlier in the game, and you probably would have won.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where these Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, Gabe, BC's finest.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Well, we thought it was going to happen, and it just happened. The Colorado Avalanche have taken a lead. I just don't feel it here for Vancouver here. Like, they really do have problems against these top teams. And here we go. Garland kind of got his stick in the way of the puck. It caused a weird angle for Demko. So you called it, McKinnon. First minute and a half they scored. It's 18:25 mark right now. There that was. That's why it was minus 230. But it was the Avalanche that scored, and suddenly the total is 5.5 right now. This 4.5 is definitely in play now. Vancouver score, and it automatically hits. Endor, we're going to have empty netters or whatever, and there's a lot of hockey left. So now the total is 5.5. Over is plus 140. Under is minus 180. The LA Kings and the Columbus Blue Jackets are still scoreless. They're 10 minutes into the game. The Nashville Predators have taken a 2-1 lead on the Vegas Golden Knights. But, McKinnon, you're already looking ahead. You've got some picks for tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night, actually, decent card. Here's the deal here. Sabres and Canadians, we're going to go over 6.5. When these two teams meet, it's always goals. It seems like Montreal, they played down to their competition. Teams that usually play down to their competition are usually good teams. But whenever Montreal plays another team that's not very strong, they usually see a lot of pond hockey, sloppiness. We're going to go over 6.5 in that one. Maple Leafs, Coyotes. Well, I just talked about playing down to your competition. I gave some love to the Maple Leafs, but we're going to go ahead and take the plus 1.5 with the Coyotes at home here. That small arena. Arizona gets up against the Leafs. Leafs are 4-0 the last 4 games here. I believe the Coyotes will show up and put toward a good effort. And we got the Blue Jackets and Ducks, guys. Jackets playing tonight. I'm on their team total under. But I think tomorrow they're actually a live dog. Second half of back-to-back, going to get a decent price, plus 115. I'm not buying into Anaheim right now. I feel like they're a good play. Columbus on the money line tomorrow night.
There's no way in hell that Austin Matthews doesn't score his 50th goal of the year tomorrow night in Arizona.
Yeah.
What
That's
a perfect
right.
place for it to happen.
Mullet time.